Hey, everybody, and welcome to day 13 of our Christmas stories. I love the Christmas season. I love the stories and the lights and just the goodwill towards men. I just love it all. So, today we're going to read a story from the Guide magazine. It was published in the Guide magazine, and actually, I just saw it was published on December 23, 1989, and that was the exact day that I was baptized. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, it is called Angels from Maria. Maria Gomez stood at the public water faucet in the Barry camp, hugging Angelina, her straw angel doll, while the water poured fiercely into the bucket. Angelina was the only toy that she had been able to bring to Oregon from her home in Juarez. Maria, her mother, a great pudding of a woman, was yelling at her from the door of their cabin. "The water is running over and making the ground muddy for everyone. If you'd put that doll away and tend your chores, it would be a blessing." Oh, Maria jumped as the water ran over her bare, dusty feet. She was remembering that tomorrow Miss Jensen wanted her to tell the class about Christmas in Mexico. "It would be better if teacher would ask me to play the guitar," she said to her brother Juan. "She knows I do not speak American very good, and the other children laugh at me." Now Juan was laughing at her too. "Why don't you put your shoes on, loco one? Don't you know it's winter and only a few days until Christmas?" He came over to the fountain and took the bucket from her. "You cannot do anything right, what with carrying that doll around all the time." The children stopped bickering for a minute as a police car pulled into the camp. "Oh," said Juan quietly, "it is the police." He waved his hand in the air. "They are just checking for green cards. We have green cards, so they cannot send us back to Mexico." The police always frightened Maria. Many things in this country frightened her. She wished that she could be more like her brother. Nothing seemed to scare Juan. Maria's deep, dark eyes looked towards the great white mountain in the distance. The snow looked so near. She had never seen snow in Mexico. All the children at school kept telling her that they would have a white Christmas, but now it was only a few days before Christmas. The sun was bright and sparkling, the ground dry as a corn husk, except where she had let the water run over the bucket. She liked this great fertile valley where her family picked fruit. Now nearby fields were green with winter wheat. Others were yellow after the harvest. Great stacks of yellow straw, tall as golden soldiers, stood in the fields, reminding her that autumn's work was over. "Christmas at home is so beautiful," she thought to herself. "If only I could tell the class in English words about how I always bargained for my piñatas at the marketplace, and how we stuffed them with all kinds of good things." Maria closed her eyes and imagined the bright, paper-ruffled piñatas, stuffed tightly with cookies in the shape of animals and candy and sweet spice cakes that her mother made. She could almost see them now, hanging from a wire, swinging and swirling overhead in a gentle wind. Maria hugged her angel doll tightly against her. "When you fell out at my feet, little Angelina, I was so happy." Straw angels bring joy. An idea came to her as she ran towards Juan. "I'll make a big piñata and show my class what Christmas is like back home in Mexico," she smiled. "Then I won't have to say English words." Juan laughed and pointed to her head. "That is fine, little empty-headed sister, but what will you stuff your great piñata with? Air?" He reached up on the shelf. "I don't need to worry about stuffing an old piñata." He squared his shoulders. I will show them my straw figure of the great Pancho Villa riding his gallant horse, Armando." Maria rummaged around the cabin until she found a soft paper box. Next, she searched the camp for some colorful paper. A friendly neighbor gave her several pieces of wrapping paper of many colors. "I know," she told Juan excitedly. "I'll make it look like a Christmas drum. Remember the one we used to hang on our tree back home?" Juan shook his head. "You still have to fill it full of good things," he laughed. "Anyway, it can't compare to my bravo Pancho Villa and Armando." Maria's eyes sparkled as she ran to old Fernando, the camp foreman. "Please, Senor Fernando, can I have some straw from the stacks out in the field?" The old man shrugged his massive shoulders and grinned. "See, help yourself, little one. There is never a shortage of straw around here. Gracias, Senor Fernando." She dashed through the brown leaves that scattered at her feet. She gathered great armfuls of straw and brought them to the cabin. All evening she sat in one corner of the room, beside the pile of straw. Finally she had the piñata stuffed. The last thing was to pull a strong cord through to hang the piñata with, and find a strong stick to take along with the piñata. With the project finished, she went to bed and lay in the darkness, listening to the night noises. She could hear the lonely drone of trucks on the highway. Old Fernando called them knights of the road. There was a far-off, eerie whistle of a train, sounding so forlorn in the vast darkness. Those people are going to some place they love, she thought. Going home. She laughed quietly in her covers, remembering how in Mexico the neighbors came on Christmas Day. One by one the children were blindfolded. Carmen, Pedro, Luis, Dolores, Lolita. Their names sang in her mind. Each one would try to break open the piñata with a stick so that all the wonderful goodies would tumble out. Maria hugged her straw doll tight against her. "When teacher puts up my piñata tomorrow, it will be enough. I won't have to say English words." Maria was pleasantly tired now. She prayed and thought of God, as she always did just before going to sleep. The next morning was freezing. The weather had changed. Her mother was stirring up the fire in the kitchen stove. Winter seemed to have come in one giant stride during the night. On the way to school, she followed her brother. "Come, Pokey One," he said, holding his precious Pancho Villa under his arm. Maria plugged along behind with Angelina tucked safely inside her thin coat while she held the piñata in front of her with both hands. She walked under the trees, whose summer was over, past lawns no longer mowed, between clumps of bushes whose leaves were dry and yellow, but bristling this morning with frost. At school, when class was over, the Christmas program started. Miss Jensen hung the piñata from the ceiling beam, and each child was given a chance to break the piñata drum. One by one the children hit vigorously and blindly at the piñata, but none had quite broken through it. Finally, Ramon, a husky Mexican boy, broke open the swinging piñata. Little figures flew out like desperate sparrows. The children stared down at small piles of straw that lay over the floor. Maria's heart sank. "They don't like my straw angels, or even know what they are," she mumbled and started to turn away. Then one of the girls picked one up. "Why, they're angels made of straw," she beamed. "How very beautiful they are." Now all the children were gathering them up. "Thank you, Maria," they were saying. "Did you make them yourself?" Miss Jensen put her arm around Maria. "They are so beautiful, Maria. May I have one too?" "Oh, yes, Miss Jensen." She faced the class. "I want all my friends to have happiness." Little Sarah Stevens took Maria by the hand. "I'll keep mine always. If you don't mind, I'll call mine Maria." Even the boys liked them. "I think I'll keep my angel on my table so it will be the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning." Outside, great snowflakes floated down like feathers from a plump pillow. It was going to be a white Christmas after all. Maria hugged her Angelina and ran for home. Even her brother could not keep up with her. She wanted to get home and tell her mother that she had spoken to her class in English. She had said the words well, and no one had laughed at her. What a nice story. It must be hard for people coming to America from other countries. So we definitely want to make them feel warm and welcomed and do all we can to love them. I hope you have a wonderful evening, a good night's sleep, a good supper, whatever it is you do after you listen to this story. And I will see you tomorrow for another story.